This is part one of a two-part podcast.
Hey, this is T. Blankenship. Have you seen the new video of Wheaton Labs? It is permaculture awesomeness with all new and improved things like more rocket mass heaters, easy bake coffin, Willy Wonka, rocket cooktop 2.0, and the truly passive greenhouse. To see more, go to permies.com/tour. Again, that is permies.com/tour.
All right, the numbers are counting, and you can hear the fire burning. We're sitting next to the fire because you like to do that. Like, if I were to say, like, let's go sit over there, you'd be like, oh, but the fire is too far away. And so we get to hear the fire as we're doing this.
Yes,
yeah.
Nice and loud.
I'm used to kind of like, I start the fire, then I forget about it and I ignore it. But you're being very conscientious about doing a good job with your beef because you document every day.
Yeah. So, gosh, what is today? Today is
Tuesday.
Let's say
Taco Tuesday.
Right. I think day 30 or 31 of operating this rocket mass heater in the Fisher-Price house. And so I finished up my month-long operate a rocket BB, and I'm starting on the 1 week. And so I think I'm doing it in the opposite order. But I like the idea of taking a month to get acquainted with this rocket. And then for this week, I've been taking very careful notes on, my timing and so I want to see like how efficiently and predictable and I can run this. So yeah, I'm doing it in the opposite order. I think it's a little bit funny, but yeah. So we have to sit next to the rocket. Thanks for obliging.
So the podcast today is to try to cover a bunch of bits and bobs about Alexandra's time here, things because she's listened to most of the podcasts, probably all or close to all, and it's kind of she's making weird faces
not all.
Close to all.
Close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's some stuff that we've talked about where it was discovered that it hasn't made its way into the podcast, and it's like, let's record a little something and get that stuff in there. Although we just sat down and I gave her 3 minutes to make a list, and of course she's not going to remember every bit, and maybe a few things will come up as we go. So I think that one note I got on here is that you actually do the thing that I recommend, which is I call it cowgirl coffee. And you've been actually doing it, and your position on coffee is similar to mine, which is like it makes coffee, which is good enough. And now I've made it a bunch of different ways. So first let me describe what is it. And so I've made coffee in a bunch of different ways, but it was about, 12, 13, 14 years ago. I said this in a podcast. I did say it in a podcast?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I already knew about your breaking of French presses, at least once a year sort of thing.
Yeah, and so we have these 4-cup measuring cups and then these little tea strainer things, and then you make the coffee, and then that stuff just goes back to being what it was before, so it's like there is no coffee maker. I feel like it's like the ultimate buy it for life thing. The glass 4-cup measuring cups have never broken. The little stainless steel tea strainer things are kind of forever-y. I mean, I've been using the exact same ones, the exact same measuring cup and strainer thing for I've owned them for probably 20 years or something, but I've been using them for this coffee stuff I'm going to guess 14 years, and I've never had to go buy new stuff because they broke or whatever. It just keeps on working. So all I'm saying is I think it's a great system. Maybe there's super coffee people that it won't be good enough for. But you've been here for a month and you're doing it. And so all I'm saying is yeah, Because I think somewhere around here there is still, like, I think Steven brought in a French press, and Steven's got some fancy coffee stuff he does. And other people, there's a bunch of coffee gear here that people have brought because they felt like they had to be fancy coffee gear. And instead of using any of that, you're doing cowgirl coffee. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just okay. So now is the time when you talk about how your thing on how I said it wrong.
Oh, with the coffee?
Yeah.
I will admit I don't actually drink coffee every morning, except when my husband makes it, and he is just phenomenal at using this thing that he got off of Kickstarter, and so I like when he makes me coffee. And because he visited here over Christmas, and we purchased coffee, and it's like a huckleberry coffee, it's been so delightful, and he couldn't take it with him on the plane, so I've been enjoying it and using it. But otherwise, I think I'm more of a tea person. I'm glad we had this talk.
Okay, all right. Speaking of your husband, he was here for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so you, your husband, and 2 kids were all here for Christmas. It was, I thought it was cool. It was the first time I think here we've ever had kids here. And your kids, I believe, are 8 and 9. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember, because I usually get up at 4 a.m. and then it seems like you're, what?
Yeah, my daughter.
Yeah. And so, okay. And so your daughter came out, and I could tell that she was very excited about, can we open the presents now? Let's wake everybody up and stuff like that. So I don't know, just that. And of course, have you ever heard the expression of your mother dresses you funny? And so, yeah. So now after Christmas, both of the kids look sharp. Somehow Santa brought them overalls, so they look good. Yeah, and they seem to feel good. They feel good about looking good, I think, because of the overalls. Yeah, and they also got wrist rockets. They got some other stuff too. I can't remember what they got, but I thought Christmas was great here with kids. It was better with kids, and so. All right.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I think my kids really enjoyed being here for Christmas, and it was delightful.
So, we've got a note here that says "make the best of it." How do you want to get started on that topic?
It seems like as you told me, early on my trip here, making the best of it. Things don't often go very smoothly, and you just have to overcome and keep trudging forward. And maybe some days you have to say it 47 times, and you just say it to yourself 47 times. Okay,
let me do my best to try to recall your words or your sentiment or your something or another. And that's kind of like, all right, I'm trying to rack up a bunch of BBs, and I want to do more BBs per day than I'm currently doing. Also there's, kids are here, gotta, burr, 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 burr. And then there's all of life's stuff. And all of these players that are doing this and doing that, and it's like, and I think part of it is that as much as you're going through a lot of overwhelm, and there's so much happening all in a day, you get to have a little bit of a glimpse of the things that I do in a day. And I think your words were like, how do you how do you get this all because it's too much. It's just too much. And then, and what I saw, because I know you're an engineer, and so I've seen it, I don't know how many others, and of course my background is also engineering, and it's kind of like, so what you're trying to do is run your life like a freight train, which is how engineers do it. we're going to organize and plan. We're going to design these moments or for these things, and then you're going to but then when you're in the world of permaculture and you've got all these other people that are not engineers that are part of it, they tend to say one thing and do another. They, want to keep all their options open and let me get back to you. And when you try to get your freight train all put together to go do a thing, you're missing most of the cars. And it's kind of and on top of that, the rails are going in 15 different directions. Rails are supposed to go in one direction. That's how rails work. And other people are like, oh no, let's make the rails go off to the left. Why not make them go off to the left? It's pretty over there. And it's it may be pretty, but it doesn't get the things done that we're all trying to get done. So you're thinking like an engineer, and it is becoming crazy. Too many variables, not enough constants. Am I close?
I think that's how we initially started, the making the best of it concept. But,
and then I said, if you're going to be working with so many variables, because there is a path, and you've got way too many variables and not enough constants, then a freight train won't work. You just the whole idea, and that's how we're used to doing everything is with a freight train. As engineers, you build with the freight train mentality. And if one person in the team deviates, then the whole train derails. But we have to do this efficiently, and the way that we do it efficiently is nobody deviates. But in the world of permaculture and working with human beings in general, it's damn near everybody deviates. And so how do you... And then, so my message to you is the message that is our theme song here, and as well as online at Permies, which you've just become staff, so you're starting to see some of the... You've just become staff at Permies.com, so you're just starting to see some of the stuff that is done with all of the wackadoo that goes on. But we say make the best of it. And so it's just over and over and over again all day long. And it's yep, everything is going to go sideways constantly.
Yeah.
For all kinds of different reasons. And then you just over and over and over again make the best of it. So, and it seemed like these words and talking about the frequency of these words was something that helped with maybe, I don't know, painting flowers on the side of your freight train in your mind? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so, I think that's how, obviously that's how this initially came up, but, in context of what I'm doing on a day-to-day, skip is not a team sport. However, it kind of is for me because I have other priorities going on. My kids are more important than skip. And so if things are out of alignment, derailed with my kids or with other things going on with my family, then skip takes a back seat, and it doesn't matter how much I want the freight train to keep moving forward. I have to just make the best of it, make concessions, readjust, stay flexible, and that can be really hard because I'm a planner and I have expectations for myself, and so I think that's how it relates, that mantra, that's how it relates to what I'm doing. But skip's not a team sport.
Yeah, I think that even in the world of engineering, there's a lot of people where it's they are desirous to deviate from the rails, or whatever the analogy might be. They want to do something, and so it's and a lot of times the company is so brittle that the company starts to fail because of these people desirous of doing other things. And But in the world, like here with the boot camp, it's basically a shitty school. So there's, a lot of questions and a lot of, why don't we burr, and even online with all the projects that we do with putting together podcasts, with putting together movies and videos and writing books and all these other things. It's like make the best of it fixes everything. This phrase, make the best of it. Like, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. And all you can do is dig in and start plowing through and make the best of it. Move things forward as best as you can. It'll never be perfect. Never. Whereas in engineering, sometimes it'll be perfect, but rarely. And maybe even better than rarely. But in everything else, in horticulture, gardening, the deer came through and ate everything. Or they got into the fence. Somebody left the gate open, and the deer were like, "Oh, good, this restaurant is open finally? Oh, I'm so hungry." And so they wipe everything out. It's like this is the norm. And if you just say make the best of it, the norm becomes easier.
Yes.
It's the expectation of the freight train that makes you sick.
I feel like making the best of it should be a mantra that everybody, takes to with Skip, because you need it to make it to the end. I think that's important. But maybe we could kind of go back a little bit and talk, start maybe from the beginning. Motivations on, why I'm here. So I've been here 4 times now. This is my 4th time. I've been here for the Garden Masters course. I came here for the Rocket Mass Heater Jamboree.
No, it was just a Rocket Mass Heater workshop. I think it's the one that appears in the Freaky Cheap Heat movie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, just the workshop. So a week each for that. And then I came here this past summer for 2 weeks for the Skip event. I guess I kind of developed a little bit of a reputation for keeping a persistent pace on the BBs. And so when I arrived this time around, I think Stephen expected that I'd continue the same pacing. But things are a little bit different between the 2 weeks of the Skip event and now. I'm not being fed, so it's not exactly a vacation. A vacation isn't a vacation unless I'm not cooking. And man, I loved being fed. Gosh, I remember even doing a hospital visit. It still felt like a vacation. Not cooking is anyway.
Okay.
I'm going on a tangent.
When you're here for the Skip event, you have a lot of support. There's the event
involved.
is being skipped and is being planned. The event is being planned. Yes. Materials are being lined out. There's some instruction. You can also watch somebody else do the BB first.
There are people to bother to help you out when you're struggling with something or need their take, or to help you with the end vision, and they probably know what the requirements are for the BB, and even get your phone and take a few pictures for you. And so there's a ton of support. This time around, I essentially doubled the whole time I've been here at Wheaton Labs in this one visit. Here doing this, the primary, as we mentioned, intention was operating the rocket. I have decided in my PEP 2 strategy to complete the wood level rocket badge. I think if I were to pick a wood level badge that really called to my heart, it would have been the gardening wood level badge. But there's a lot more unpredictable timing, and I needed to ensure that I would that I could complete the wood level badge in a time efficient manner. So strategically, I picked the rocket level BB, or rocket wood level BB, and I also wanted to, personally learn more and yeah. Sorry, Paul left, so it feels weird talking to myself.
Put Paul's brain on your plot. Do you have a hunk of land but don't know where to start? Do you have a world-changing permaculture idea and you need some feedback? Do you feel like the guy in overalls may inexplicably hold the keys to all your wildest permaculture and homesteading dreams? Well, you're probably wrong. But if you want to give it a go anyway, you can hire Paul for a consultation. He will be all yours for a whole entire hour. Schedule your Paulversation today at permies.com/consult. permies.com/consult.
But I wanted to explore building rockets, and I think in many ways Skip has, pushed me to do things that I normally maybe wouldn't have done, but because I'm so motivated to complete Skip, I've done a number of things that I probably wouldn't have done at such a fast pace. I'm a little bit more of a perfectionist and like to take a little more time and diligence on each little thing, but maybe I over-agonize all the details and take longer to do things. So in many ways, I'm grateful for Skip for pushing me constantly. All right, good. I'm glad you're back. It feels weird talking to myself.
I know. See, and when I do that,
it's awkward.
I can't.
Who am I talking to?
It just gets so good. You can relate.
Wow, that was.
There are people who record podcasts. They just turn the thing on, and they just talk, and it's like I can't do it.
Wow, that was uncomfortable.
Wasn't it? It's weird, isn't it? Okay. All right. But I'm back. Okay.
Oh, what a relief.
So, the key is that during the Skip event, it's like, okay, you get food. You happen to not have your kids here during the Skip event.
Yeah, that was key.
And it's like, so I remember that you were different than the other people at the Skip event, or most of the people at the Skip event, and that like when we had the butterfly days, in between the first week and the second week, you stayed here and kept cranking out BBs. And then also, like after dinner, you would continue to crank out BBs. And before breakfast, you would be out there doing something to crank out BBs. And so it does seem like at the Skip event. And we're not having a Skip event this year. We were going to try to do one of those ticket blitz things to see if we could get enough interest. But then by the time that we got it figured out, like when Mike was available, and he wanted to do it in June, and I didn't feel like we had enough lead time to get ready for it. So, but all right. The key is that you're here now. You're racking up some BBs, but it's like you're having to take care of your kids at the same time, and you don't have somebody cooking all your meals for you, and all those things. So you're probably not at the velocity that you were during the Skip event, but probably not too bad, really.
Right. So that kind of brings me back to why I mention it. When I first arrived, Stephen, I think, assumed that I'd be doing BBs at the same pace as what he remembered me doing. And I had to, reset expectations, because my primary intent in being here, of course, is to operate this rocket. And, if I mess that up over the course of the month, then I feel like it was moot. So I have to make sure that that's primary number one. And then the second was, making this a good experience for my kids and my husband during the time he was here, because the truth is, doing Skip is a personal sacrifice, but it's a huge sacrifice for my whole family too. I mean, it's a ton of hours that I withdraw from giving them attention in order to accomplish this thing. And so to get buy-in from my whole family and the support needed, it's not only, a financial thing, it's we were supposed to be visiting my in-laws for Christmas, and so I changed this up, and, my family had to adjust and be supportive of it, and so I feel like that's huge, and I felt like I needed to honor them in making sure that this was an enjoyable experience. So cultivating that was really important. And the third priority was, accomplishing BBs. While I'm here and I have access to a number of things, I need to make sure that I'm prioritizing the BBs that I wouldn't have as much access to. For example, getting a trailer. I guess I could rent something from U-Haul, but there's a trailer here and a towing vehicle, so I need to make sure I knock that out, even though I have no experience doing that. So, having to, figure that out, make sure that that I'm doing all the documentation for it. But yeah, so those are my 3 priorities. Operate the rocket, make sure my family is having a good time and can enjoy it, and and then BBs. So my pacing has been a lot slower than it was over the summer. But I think we settled on a number. I think I'm achieving maybe 4 times as many BBs here than I would have at home. However, it's winter break, so I have a lot more flexibility when I'm not homeschooling the kids. So I've been able to take advantage of that, but homeschooling resumes, so that's going to derail, I guess, the number of BBs that I'd like to achieve, and so I have to, at the beginning, make the best of it.
I think that's an enormous part of it. You touched on something that I want to expand, and it goes like this: that the stuff that the work that you're doing to get BBs, to achieve a BB, or rack a bunch up during a week. You're juggling it in with the kids and their homeschooling, and then the cooking, and all the other little bits and bobs you're doing. Sure, all of the bits and bobs of your life.
Yeah. And
but that's kind of the cool thing, is that you can do that. And then, and you are a little unique. We've discovered after coming out with Skip. So Skip was designed for you and for Otis's. But most of the people that are getting BBs are not interested in getting a property. And which, to the dismay of the Otises that we're hearing from in droves, but you are pursuing the property, and so it's kind of like, all right, if you were to attend a university, you wouldn't. I mean, that would be a faceplant. I mean, it's like you can't take your kids with you to school. You would, they...
I mean, granted, I already have a university degree, so I'm kind of past that, but I don't think that Skip was really intended for me. I'm not in my early 20s. I already have a family. I already had, an established career as an engineer. I don't have debts. And so...
if you're going to go and try to take your degree and go out and earn fat money for a certain number of years, but of course there's a certain level of expense that happens while you do that, so you get the net to set aside, and then you can go buy your dream property, which, by the way, the whole time that you were working and saving, the cost of the dream property went up.
So, when I first found out about Skip, it was through Kickstarter. My husband and I really like Kickstarters. As engineers, we love supporting other innovators, and so... Every
time you support a Kickstarter, a banker gets a kick in the nuts.
And so when I first found out about Skip, I just really relished the idea of having a different pathway in life. And so I supported it, and I did so because I wanted my kids to have another avenue that wasn't within this system that my husband and I are fully, ingrained in at the time. And so, I about a year ago, I was trying to, run the numbers and figure out, all right, well, how many more years do I need to sit at a desk? I'm constantly having chronic back pain from sitting for so long. As I mentioned to you, I'm good at computer work, but I don't want to keep my face in front of a computer all day, every day. And I really love being outside and getting things done. I just love it. It like fills my soul. And so I wanted to try to assess what could be my timeline for, moving out of the city and getting onto, the last move. I wanted to do the last move, and it would be somewhere not in a city. And so I felt like I had three options. The first was raw land, which for a long time my husband and I were looking for some raw land that one day in the future, sometime, we would eventually develop it. And that just felt like too long in the future. And I needed something a little more now, a little more, I felt the timeline feels pressing because of my kids' age and the experience that I want to, give them before they reach adulthood. And so my last two options were to, get a property that would be, in our price range, but conventional. And now we have to deal with all of the mistakes. And, we've moved a few times and we've experienced the mistakes of previous homeowners so many times that I almost would rather start with the raw property. And so that really doesn't feel like a viable option because, again, like I wanted a piece of, I want this last move to be something that is just perfect. Maybe not too perfect, but like just perfect enough, like good enough for me to never want to leave. And so I just didn't feel like the second option was as viable. And then the third option was a permaculture paradise, but that's way out of my budget. And how many more years do I need to sit in front of this desk, accruing the money but not the skills, such that on day one I'm ready? And so it seemed really blindingly obvious that I needed to be the one doing Skip, which was kind of funny because I never thought that I would do it. I thought my kids would do it. And it's just kind of weird to me that I supported Skip so many years ago and there hasn't been somebody to, successfully complete it yet. And I just find that to be really bewildering. And so felt like, you know what? The opportunity's still there. I need to just go all in. And so I did. And so I think I was at the very bottom of the leaderboard, or at least maybe not very bottom, but near there. I think I had BB numbering in the teens in March. And then by July, I was, I was 39th on the leaderboard, and that felt, pretty great. And, as of today, so beginning of January, I'm 4th, and that feels strange to me that, within, 9 months, I could go from being, nowhere to 4th? That's crazy. How are there not 1,000 more people doing this?
You want to tell people what the leaderboard is?
The leaderboard is it's how many BBs you have, and so the more BBs gets you to the top of the leaderboard. I have 197. I think first is Opalyn, and second is Rebecca, and third is Mike. I'm 4th now, and then Cheryl is 5th. But I think Cheryl and I are kind of head to head. So there is a competitive nature to this for sure, right? But at the same rate, I think there's a lot of support too, and I am really grateful that I got to be here during the Skip event, and I'm really grateful that I've befriended a number of people who are doing it, and I have a bit of a support team through it all. I think it would be hard for somebody to pursue Skip and not have other friends doing it as well, to not understand the lingo, to not understand the requirements, the need for extremely perfect documentation, right? You can't be lax about it. If you didn't get the picture, it didn't happen, do it over. And so, I think that's huge. So it's competitive, but also supportive.
Real quick, how much does it cost to look at the leaderboard, to submit BBs, to do all of Skip? How much does it require? How much does it have to cost?
So it costs $0 to submit, to be part of the program. It's $0. It's I think if you are extremely frugal and had, a ton of time but not a ton of money, I think you could figure things out. If you came here to be a boot, I think you could easily bypass, any financial part of it. I think for me, I have to, I try to use a number of resources, and I purchase some tools to do the BBs. I
think the big thing is that I think most of the people that are racking up BBs have paid $0. They already had the tools. They already had everything. I mean, and I pay for the software modifications, and I pay for the server bills, and I pay for all that stuff so that the Skip program can exist. And I'm still foolishly optimistic that so you're saying, why aren't there thousands? And I'm foolishly optimistic that they'll be along any moment now. But I do think that a lot of people are being shitty about it in the respect of when's somebody going to get land? And it's I don't want to do it unless I can see there's a payout at the end. And it's kind of part of me is kind of by the time we show that people are doing it and they're getting land and you get started, now you got to get PEP 4. Whereas right now, I feel pretty confident that the first person to get to PEP 2 will have their choice of 20 different properties. So I agree. I think that there's probably more than, I'm just guessing, that there's more than 1,000 people that have at least one BB now. And I feel good that our system is handling this load so well. But then you also touched on the whole point of BBs being rejected. And it's so I believe that while that is a thing that kind of is discouraging and makes you feel shitty and stuff like that, I also think it's a good thing once you got the BB done that everybody else has to go through the same shitstorm to get the BBs. So it's there's a certain level of integrity that's required. And so for the BBs where you were rejected and it hurt, and then later you did it over again, and then you passed, does it seem like the rejection was legit? Oh, okay. On her face was no, because my stuff is good. You guys should just be cool about that.
I think in the moment when you looked at my face, I feel like I needed to think of a specific BB or a specific moment to recall. One hasn't come to mind of exactly what the parameters were or what have you. But I feel like in previous times that we've talked about Skip, I think you've suggested that, maybe somebody didn't, try hard enough. And I think for the ones that I had rejected, I felt that I had an A++ effort, that I, checked all the boxes and, went over and beyond. And so, I don't accept the perception that, that somebody didn't try hard enough. I think sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and so you submit it thinking that you did everything, and you get the rejection, and I think you kind of have to process it and figure it out and find your resolve, and maybe the way I've justified it in my head is it's not just about learning the skills and figuring it out. It's how do you cope with the rejection? How do you persevere? How do you continue with the motivation for it, even when you feel like it's wrong? You were wronged, right? And so, reframing it is a powerful thing to learn. And as I mentioned to you, I've seen a few people who have gotten rejections, and I have so much empathy for them because I was there. And if you're alone in it, you have really nobody to validate or to talk about it with, and it hurts. And so
This podcast is continued in part 2.
In a world on the brink of social collapse, one website stands above the rest to fight back the zombie horde of corporate trolls. Permies.com. Take back control of your destiny and protect your loved ones from the toxic git coming at you from all directions. Strap on your overalls and start building that bunker of abundance with the good vibes and friendly, helpful insight found at Permies.com.